The silent emergency your cat can't explain. Your cat has probably meowed at you hundreds of times, maybe for food, maybe to greet you when you came home, maybe just because he wanted your attention. But what if one day those meows suddenly become different? Not louder, not necessarily constant, just different. Different enough that your cat is trying to tell you something, and you're answering the wrong question. One of the biggest mistakes cat owners make is assuming that all meows mean the same thing. They don't. In fact, researchers who study feline behavior have observed that adult cats rarely meow to communicate with other cats. They developed this vocal language mainly for us. That means every unusual meow is more than just noise. It's a message, carefully adapted over thousands of years of living alongside humans. Here's what makes this so important. Cats are masters at hiding weakness. In the wild, showing pain could make them vulnerable to predators or rivals. That instinct never disappeared, even in the safest homes. Most cats will continue eating, walking, and acting almost normally while quietly hiding discomfort. They often stay silent far longer than dogs would. But sometimes, when they can no longer solve the problem on their own, something changes. Their voice becomes their last resort. The frightening part is that many owners unknowingly reward or ignore these warnings. They refill the food bowl, open a door, pick the cat up, or simply assume he's being dramatic. Sometimes that works because the cat was asking for something simple. Other times, the real problem remains completely unnoticed while valuable time slips away. Studies of feline behavior show that sudden changes in vocalization are often more significant than the number of meows themselves. A naturally talkative cat may still be perfectly healthy, while a normally quiet cat that suddenly begins crying throughout the house deserves immediate attention. The change is often the clue, not the volume. Throughout this video, you'll learn how to tell the difference between ordinary communication and a true warning signal. You'll discover why the sound of a meow is only one piece of the puzzle, how your cat's body quietly confirms what his voice is saying, and which combinations of behaviors should never be ignored. Some of these signs may seem surprisingly small, yet they can reveal problems long before they become obvious. By the end of this video, you may never hear your cat meow the same way again. The next sound he makes could be the difference between reassuring yourself that everything is fine and recognizing a silent emergency before it becomes a serious one. Digite uma para escrever o próximo tópico ou digite as alterações que deseja. Your cat isn't just making noise, he is changing his language. One of the most important things to understand is that cats don't suddenly become chatty for no reason. Every cat has its own normal way of communicating. Some naturally greet you with soft meows every morning. Others can spend an entire day without making a sound. That's why the real warning isn't how much your cat meows, it's when he starts communicating differently than he usually does. Behavior specialists explain that cats constantly evaluate whether a vocalization is worth the effort. If a quiet cat suddenly begins following you through the house while meowing over and over, something has changed in his world. He isn't simply making more noise. He's trying a different strategy because his usual one is no longer working. This change can happen gradually or almost overnight. A cat may start meowing outside a closed door he previously ignored. He may vocalize before eating when he never did before. He might begin calling from another room or meow repeatedly while staring directly at you. Each of these changes provides valuable information, even if everything else appears normal. This is why comparing your cat to someone else's cat rarely helps. A breed known for being vocal may sound perfectly healthy, while another cat that barely meows during its entire life may only raise its voice when something is truly wrong. Your cat's own baseline is far more important than any general rule. Instead of asking, "Why is my cat meowing so much?" start asking, "What has changed about the way my cat communicates?" That single question often leads owners to notice subtle clues they would have otherwise missed. The next step is learning something even more revealing. Not every unusual meow carries the same meaning. The tone, rhythm, and timing of your cat's voice can completely change the message he's trying to send. The difference between annoying meows and desperate meows. Not all meows deserve the same level of concern. The sound itself can reveal far more than most people realize. Experts in feline behavior explain that cats change their voice depending on what they are experiencing. And learning to recognize these differences can help you respond in the right way. Think about a cat waiting for dinner. His meows are usually short, rhythmic, and directed at you. He may walk toward the food bowl, rub against your legs, or glance back to make sure you're following. The message is clear and consistent. He's asking for something he expects to receive. Now compare that to a cat whose meow suddenly becomes unusually high-pitched, hoarse, repetitive, or difficult to interrupt. Instead of stopping once you respond, he continues vocalizing. He may seem restless, unable to settle down, or he may remain in one place while calling over and over. This kind of persistence often suggests that the problem hasn't been solved because it isn't something simple like hunger or attention. Timing is another clue many owners overlook. Does your cat only meow at night when the house is quiet? Does he cry while using the litter box? Does he vocalize every time he jumps onto furniture or after waking from a nap? These patterns can point toward discomfort, confusion, or changes that deserve closer attention. Researchers have also observed that context matters as much as the sound itself. The exact same meow can mean completely different things depending on what your cat is doing when he makes it. That's why listening without watching often leads to the wrong conclusion. This is where many owners miss the biggest clue of all. Your cat's voice tells only part of the story. The rest is written silently through his posture, his eyes, his tail, and even the way he breathes. When the body speaks together with the voice, a meow should never be interpreted on its own. Your cat is always speaking with his entire body, and in many cases, his posture reveals the truth long before his voice does. The secret is learning to watch both at the same time. Start with the ears. A cat whose ears are relaxed and facing forward is usually feeling secure. But if those ears flatten backward while the meowing continues, it may signal fear, pain, or extreme discomfort. The tail also provides important clues. A tail held naturally is very different from one that lashes back and forth, stays puffed up, or hangs unusually low while the cat vocalizes. Then look at the eyes. Wide pupils in a bright room can indicate stress, excitement, or pain. If your cat stares at you while meowing without blinking, he may be making a deliberate attempt to get your attention because something isn't right. If he avoids eye contact, hides after meowing, or seems unusually withdrawn, the message can be even more concerning. Movement tells another part of the story. Is your cat pacing through the house as if searching for something? Does he keep returning to the same spot while vocalizing? Is he hesitant to jump onto places he normally reaches with ease? Small changes like these often reveal physical discomfort that owners mistake for unusual behavior. Even breathing deserves attention. A cat that meows while breathing faster than normal, keeps his mouth slightly open, or seems uncomfortable after minimal activity should never be ignored. These signs, especially when combined with a sudden change in vocalization, deserve prompt evaluation. Specialists in feline behavior often say that no single signal tells the whole story. It's the combination of voice, posture, movement, and expression that creates the real message. Once you begin seeing these pieces together, your cat becomes much easier to understand. The surprising part is that some cats show almost none of these signs until they simply can't hide the problem anymore. When that moment arrives, the excessive meowing may be revealing something they have been silently enduring for days. The hidden pain that many cats try to hide. One of the most misunderstood things about cats is that they rarely complain when something hurts. Unlike humans, they don't instinctively seek comfort by showing weakness. Scientists believe this behavior comes from their wild ancestors, where appearing sick or injured could make them an easy target. Even today, that instinct remains remarkably strong. This is why many cats continue eating, grooming, and walking around the house while quietly dealing with pain. To their owners, everything seems normal. Then, almost without warning, the meowing begins. At that point, many people assume the problem started that day. In reality, the discomfort may have been building for much longer. A cat with dental pain may suddenly become more vocal before meals because chewing has become uncomfortable. Another may begin meowing before jumping onto the couch because arthritis is making movement painful. Some cats cry near the litter box because urinating has become difficult. In each case, the meow is not the problem itself. It's a symptom of something deeper. This is especially important if your cat has always been quiet. A naturally silent cat that suddenly starts calling throughout the house is often experiencing a significant change. While the cause isn't always serious, experts agree that an abrupt shift in behavior deserves attention, particularly if it lasts more than a day or appears alongside other unusual changes. Many owners wait until their cat stops eating or becomes completely inactive before seeking help. Unfortunately, cats often reach that stage only after hiding discomfort for quite some time. Recognizing the earlier warning signs gives you the chance to act before the situation becomes far more difficult to treat. But pain isn't the only reason a cat may suddenly become unusually vocal. Sometimes the body is healthy, yet the mind is struggling, and the emotional causes behind constant meowing can be just as surprising as the physical ones. The surprising emotional reasons behind constant meowing: not every cat that meows constantly is in physical pain. Sometimes, the loudest cries come from emotional stress. Cats thrive on routine, predictability, and feeling in control of their environment. When that sense of security is disrupted, their behavior can change in ways that seem confusing at first. Think about everything that can change from your cat's perspective. A new family member arrives, furniture is moved, another pet enters the home. Someone the cat was attached to suddenly disappears. Even a change in your work schedule can affect a cat that has spent years expecting the same daily rhythm. What feels like a small adjustment to you can feel like a major disruption to your cat. Researchers who study feline behavior have found that anxious cats often become more vocal because vocalization is one of the few tools they have to seek reassurance. They may follow you from room to room, meowing repeatedly, not because they need food, but because they need confirmation that everything is still safe. Older cats deserve special attention. As they age, some begin experiencing cognitive decline that can leave them confused, especially after sunset. A cat that suddenly wanders through the house meowing at night may not be asking for attention at all. He may simply be disoriented and looking for something familiar. Gentle guidance, consistent routines, and a calm environment can make a remarkable difference. Frustration can also trigger excessive meowing. An indoor cat that lacks opportunities to climb, explore, hunt, or observe the outside world may begin vocalizing simply because his natural instincts have no healthy outlet. In many cases, the voice is expressing boredom mixed with unmet behavioral needs. The challenge is that emotional and physical causes can look surprisingly similar. That's why changing one daily habit without understanding the full picture may solve nothing. The next step is recognizing how some well-intentioned routines from the owner can accidentally encourage excessive meowing without anyone realizing it. The daily habits that can create excessive meowing without you noticing. Sometimes, without realizing it, we teach our cats that meowing is the fastest way to get what they want. It usually starts with good intentions. Your cat meows, you immediately fill the food bowl. He meows again, you open the door. Another meow, and you stop what you're doing to pet him. Before long, your cat has learned that vocalizing is the most effective way to communicate with you. Behavior specialists explain that cats quickly recognize patterns. If a certain behavior consistently brings a reward, they're likely to repeat it. This doesn't mean your cat is manipulating you. It simply means he's using the communication method that has worked best in the past. Inconsistent routines can make this even worse. Feeding your cat at different times every day, responding to some meows but ignoring others, or suddenly changing the household schedule can leave your cat unsure of what to expect. When predictability disappears, many cats compensate by vocalizing more often. The home environment also plays a major role. An indoor cat with little stimulation may spend long hours with nothing meaningful to do. Without places to climb, windows to observe, toys that encourage hunting behavior, or regular interactive play, boredom can slowly turn into frequent meowing. The voice becomes an outlet for energy that has nowhere else to go. The goal isn't to ignore your cat when he meows. Instead, try to understand why he's vocalizing before responding. If he's healthy and simply asking for attention, rewarding calm behavior instead of constant meowing can gradually encourage quieter communication. At the same time, providing a predictable routine and enriching his environment often reduces unnecessary vocalization naturally. Of course, there are moments when changing habits is not enough. Some patterns of meowing should never be dismissed because they may signal a problem that requires immediate attention. Knowing the difference could protect your cat when every hour matters. The warning signs that should never be ignored. There are times when a cat's meowing is more than a request or a habit. It becomes a warning that should never be delayed or explained away. The challenge is recognizing when that moment has arrived. One of the most urgent situations is when a cat repeatedly enters the litter box, strains to urinate, cries while trying, or produces little to no urine. Veterinarians warn that this can indicate a urinary blockage, especially in male cats, and it can quickly become life-threatening if left untreated. Another serious sign is meowing combined with labored breathing. If your cat seems to breathe faster than usual while resting, struggles to catch his breath, or keeps his mouth open after only mild activity, don't assume he's simply anxious. Cats rarely show obvious breathing problems unless something significant is happening. Pay close attention if the meowing is accompanied by a sudden loss of appetite, extreme tiredness, vomiting, difficulty walking, or unusual hiding. A cat that normally greets you but suddenly isolates himself while vocalizing is communicating a very different message than one who simply wants company. Senior cats deserve extra attention. If an older cat suddenly begins crying at night, appears confused in familiar rooms, or seems unable to recognize his usual routine, these changes should be discussed with a veterinarian. While aging can affect behavior, sudden changes should never be considered just old age. The most important rule is surprisingly simple. If your cat's vocalization changes abruptly, and that change comes with any other unusual behavior, trust what you're observing. You know your cat better than anyone else. Acting early often means identifying a problem before it becomes an emergency. Understanding these warning signs is incredibly valuable. But the greatest lesson is even bigger than knowing when something is wrong. It's learning to understand your cat so well that he never has to raise his voice before you notice he needs your help. Learning to understand your cat before he has to scream. The greatest gift you can give your cat isn't a new toy, a more expensive bed, or the perfect brand of food. It's being someone who understands what he is trying to say before his situation becomes desperate. Cats don't communicate the way humans do. They don't explain what hurts or point to the problem. Instead, they rely on small changes that are easy to overlook. A different meow, a pause before jumping, a new sleeping spot, a subtle shift in posture. On their own, these details may seem meaningless. Together, they tell a story. Researchers who study feline behavior often describe cats as animals that communicate through patterns rather than isolated actions. This is why paying attention to what has changed is so much more valuable than focusing on a single behavior. The question isn't whether your cat meows, it's whether he is acting differently than the cat you have always known. You'll never be able to prevent every illness or every source of stress, but you can become the kind of owner who notices problems while they are still small. That awareness can reduce suffering, improve your cat's quality of life, and, in some situations, even save his life. The next time your cat meows, resist the urge to answer automatically. Take a moment to observe. Look at his eyes, watch his posture, notice where he is, what he was doing before he vocalized, and whether anything in his routine has changed. Those few extra seconds may reveal a message you would have otherwise missed. Your cat doesn't expect you to understand every sound perfectly. He simply depends on you to notice when his voice changes, because for an animal that instinctively hides weakness, asking for help is never the first choice. Sometimes, it's the last one. If this video helped you understand your cat in a new way, keep observing the small signals he gives every day. The quietest changes are often the ones that matter most.